Picture, if you will, whatever kind of catastrophe could possibly happen where you have no power, your generators won't start, your solar generators are non-functional, and your refrigerators and your freezers are out of commission. What are you going to do? Well, I got some ideas. My wife and I have talked about what's going to happen and what we should be doing if that should ever happen to us. So I want to share those tips with you, so stick around. This scenario is probably not very likely because there will be ways to mitigate power outages with generators and with solar generators and some sort of auxiliary form of power that you can pipe into your house to keep your freezers and your refrigerators at the proper temperature. But let's just say it is possible that you've run out of every option that you've got. Your freezers are dead in the water, your generators are dead in the water, you have no way to power things to keep your frozen foods frozen and to keep your stuff that needs to be chilled. So the first thing that we're going to do is take inventory and see what we've got. Take a look at the condition of the food that's in there. Is the meat still frozen? Are the vegetables still frozen? That kind of a thing. Because you don't know how long the power's been out, possibly. So there you are, stuck out there, and you just don't know. So you feel the packages. If they still feel rock hard, then you're probably okay. The vegetables, all that other stuff. And by taking inventory, I'm talking about a priority inventory, stuff that you really have to save. Your ground beef, your frozen chicken, frozen steaks, frozen veggies, that kind of stuff, frozen fruit if you've got it. And I put that in some sort of priority based on your needs, based on what you and your family normally eat. And I would sort it out in that fashion. The stuff that isn't really all that important, you may have like frozen pizzas or frozen pierogies or frozen pre-made this or pre-made that. You may need to just set that aside and say, well, we might lose that. But for the stuff that you do want to keep, and this is really the key component, if you've got a canner, get the canner ready to go. Make sure you've got enough pint jars and quart jars and such to cook that meat up, cube it, grind it, whatever you're going to need to do, and can whatever you can as far as the meat goes, the chicken goes, that kind of stuff. It's going to be really hard to do that with a frozen pizza. So that would be first on our agenda would be to try to save and salvage as much of the proteins, the meats, the chicken, the beef, the steaks, pork, anything that you've got that you normally eat every day. I would invest enough time and energy to make sure that you can get your food canned up properly. So if you don't know how to can, learn how to can. If you don't have enough pint jars and quart jars to go around, pick some up ASAP so that you've got that as part of your background, as part of your preps, just in case you lose your freezers and you have no way to power them. The second thing that I would do would be to start making with some of the other leftovers that you may have in your refrigerator, in your freezers, that you can use to make stock, make soups, that kind of stuff that you can then cook up the way you need to cook up and either can that or eat it. And you may want to gather your friends, your MAG a mutual assistance group, your family together, and just have a big hoedown of like foods that you really can't preserve, you can't set aside, and get her done. So, and I'm talking, the thought popped into my head while we were talking about this, that yeah, it's going to take power to do the canning, to do the cooking and all that kind of stuff, which is why I always advocate that when you're planning for the dark days to come, that you have alternate sources of cooking, that you've got Coleman stoves, that you've got outdoor gas barbecue grills, Coleman stoves, like I said, Weber kettles. We've got a number of propane-powered and butane-powered stoves, camping stoves, auxiliary stoves, that we can certainly get up to temperature and hold it there with a reasonable amount of control so that you can properly can up foods. So to say that you're, if you don't have power to power your freezers, you don't have power to cook the food, you got another thing coming. I guess, and I've seen other channels do this, that there's solar-powered refrigerators, freezer combos that you can pick up, and if you can afford to do that, more power to you, but you're not going to be able to get all the food from your big freezer into a little portable solar generator powered refrigerator freezer that you can count on for that. So we'd be cooking food, we'd be making soups, we'd be making stews and canning, that kind of stuff. And as I looked at our canning inventory, we've got right now empty about only 24 quarts and 1 dozen and a couple extra jars here or there of the pints. So in preparation for doing this video, I thought it would be a good idea that the next time we're at the places where we normally buy our canning equipment, that we're going to pick up a few more flats of quarts and a few more flats of pints, and maybe even some jelly jars, that kind of a thing, just to beef up the inventory of that kind of stuff, just in case. And certainly they can be used for all kinds of other things when there's not a natural disaster going on where you don't have power to power your freezers and your refrigerators. So that's pretty much what we do. Take the inventory, start canning the meats, the chicken, the beef, the pork, all that kind of stuff. Make up stews and soups and stuff like that, and get ready to start canning that so that you've got at least some of those perishables in a salvageable mode that you can use in the future. Hey, this is the Prepared Suburbanite reminding you to be prepared always, and I'll see you all on the next video.